Our seventh principle and value is we actively mitigate for power, breaking down hierarchies of power for more equitable participation. So this means that we are requiring ourselves to be honest and clear with ourselves and each other, that we all hold prejudices and biases, and these need to be acknowledged rather than dwelled upon negatively. It's everyone's responsibility to change their destructive habits and behaviours. We recognise that the world as it currently stands is built up of intersecting hierarchies based on sexuality, gender, race, disability, and so on. And every person's experience in this world is different. So, for example, the experiences a black woman might encounter will be different forms of oppression to those that a white woman would, because of how race and gender compound and combine. And whilst we aim to live in a world where these hierarchies no longer exist, we simply can't just pretend that they don't. And for this reason, we need to center voices that would normally be marginalized and allowing them to speak in spaces and to take on more leadership and coordination roles. Now, this isn't about deciding who is the most oppressed. It's about consciously making space for people who have a right for their voice, who have to fight the most for their voice to be heard, recognized, and respected. So in some practical terms, this means that we try to weigh up our coordination roles to include marginalized voices, and always, if we're having two coordinators for most of our groups, that we have a balance between gender, a man and a woman. And we think about accessibility, whether our spaces are wheelchair accessible, whether we're using technical jargon that's going to make it harder for people to understand, and thinking about how we can start to include more trainings around anti-oppression in our work. Now, having a database of activists and having a social media accounts and fundraising platforms inevitably means that there is some centralization of power within Extinction Rebellion. And we try to be as transparent and accountable as possible for that. So all of our finances are available on the website, for example, and all the people who are in the widest circle of Extinction Rebellion, in the anchor circle, their names are available on the website, and all of those meetings are recorded for transparency so that people can view what's happening. And finally, we just use this principle and value to actively question ourselves, question our own privilege and power within the movement, and think about whether or not we could be using our position to train others in how to coordinate, and people who often might not have that chance normally.